There's a young man in La Crosse who is currently making quite a name for himself in two totally different fields. And in this morning's In Search of report, we're going to see what happens when these two contrasting worlds collide. Viterbo University junior Dustin Bagstad has a sort of kinship with the piano, dating all the way back to when he was just 5 years old.
Took lessons for a few years, then took a break because, you know, the attention span of someone that age gets a little short. And then when I went back to lessons, it just took off from there, and I haven't stopped playing since.
Today, this La Crosse native can regularly be seen tickling the ivories for various choirs and musical performances. It seems there's just something about the piano that after all these years still moves him.
I love the sounds, and I really love people's reaction to the piano. Because for me, I take it for granted, because I've played it my whole life. I don't have any memories of not being able to play the piano. But for other people, they just come up after I've played something and they're amazed, or I don't know how you do that. And I just like the joy and the excitement that it can bring in other people when I sit down and play something.
And while this in itself is impressive, we're going to take this story up another octave. Because Dustin has another passion, one that requires us to completely shift gears. Come to the La Crosse Speedway on race night, and you will most likely find 27-year-old Bagstad at the wheel of his Thunderstock car.
My interest in racing really started with my dad. I mean, as far back as I can remember, we were coming here and getting to come out and watch him race then.
But it wasn't until 2 years ago that his wheels started spinning.
I finally kind of got the bug and wondered what it was like, wondered what Dad had been doing all these years. So
I thought we'd give it a try. When he was younger, he went go-kart racing, and honestly, he wasn't very good. And the one night that he finally showed some promise was passing karts, he rolled over in his head. So we put a stop to that before he hurt himself. And all these years later, he wants to go racing.
So we went out on one afternoon and took maybe 70, 80 laps around, and I was hooked.
He started showing promise and started passing cars and getting better and better, and I'm thinking, oh, look at that, this might be fun.
Dustin has been cruising his way to the top of the leaderboard this season and currently sits 6th in points.
This summer, got my first feature win in June, which was really nice to get that first checkered flag in a feature race.
I have been in the pits and jumped up and down and fist pumped and everything else at my age when he's, went for the win or, passed for first place or something. That it's been very exciting.
There have been some Saturdays I have been completely unmotivated to go to the racetrack. But as soon as we get there and as soon as I get that smell of racing fuel and burning rubber, it just trips all the endorphins and I'm ready to go.
From the outside looking in, these two worlds seem polar opposites.
There's not too many Budweiser t-shirts at a piano recital.
But according to Dustin, they're not as different as you might think.
The hand-eye coordination you have to have, you've got your feet going at all times. You have to put in the time to practice to get good at what you're doing. So although they're very different, they're very much the same in the way you prepare for them.
So where will Dustin Bagstad be down the road?
That question you could answer just as good as I could. I really have no idea. I could be teaching. I could be off pursuing a racing career. Who knows? There's 100 different directions left to go, and I like looking into the future, but I don't like nailing down plans because you just never know what's going to come up.
You may not know where he's going, but you can probably bet that with every turn, he'll be hitting all the right notes. In La Crosse with photographer Kirk Arneson, Jennifer Livingston, News 8.
It's so interesting to talk to him, too, about the friends at Viterbo who know nothing about his racing side and the racing friends that he has who didn't know anything about his musical side.
Right.
Now, it's interesting because despite his talent on the piano, he's actually a vocal music major. He's hoping to teach choir and teach musical theater someday as well. And he not only did he compete in last night's Oktoberfest races out at the Speedway, this weekend he will be seen in the Viterbo Opera, the Night Bell. So it's like his life all the time is juggling and switching all these things back and forth, and he's good at both of them. So
good for him.
Very cool. Yeah.